All Blacks in New Zealand rugby. How different will it be coaching on Saturday against the All Blacks?
Yeah, it'll be a bit awkward, to be honest. I've had a lot to do with some of those players very recently. Probably not that different from going to the World Cup and coaching against Ireland, or even being called in late. A couple of years ago for that first test in Eden Park in that week, up against some Irish boys who I'd coached for 10 years. And you build relationships with those people. You have a lot of respect for those people, and it's the same with the All Blacks. So it's awkward, but you have a loyalty to the group of men you're working with at the current time, and players understand that of all people, because they go up against each other and then form a team in a national sense, as opposed to playing Super Rugby against each other.
So knowing the guys so well, does it make the job easier or harder to try and
Yeah, it means you can go around in circles in your own head, which I have no problem doing without coming up against an opponent like the All Blacks and the players that I know. It certainly means that you understand just the firepower that they do have, and the horsepower up front as well. So you understand what you're coming up against, and I'm pretty sure the Australian players know that already. This is our most regular foe, Super Rugby included. So the opposition, I think both teams know each other really well.
Can you see what the All Blacks are trying to do under their new coaches, or do you think they're still trying to bed in?
Well, they've had a little bit of a change, obviously, so they might have started in a direction and come away from that a little bit. And so, to be honest, I've really been super focused on the team that we have here. It's the first time I've ever taken over a team, particularly at this level, and not had a really good period of time with the players. For example, with Ireland, I coached Leinster for 3 years. They contribute the majority of the Irish national team, and I had 6 months with the Blues before getting called in to help out with the All Blacks. So I'm still learning a bit about these players, and still trying to put together what works best for us.
Joe, can you just open up in the halves? Just what sort of led your sort of decision to go Nick at 9 there?
Getting back from Santa Fe, that took its toll, that game. There was a few boys who were a little bit ill and a little bit run down, and Nick hadn't played. He was the freshest, and we just felt that making an early decision in the week to go with Nick. He has great leadership. All the Nines have great leadership. They've all at some stage been skipper of their Super Rugby side. So Nick was a pretty good fit, and a good fit with Noah. They're both originally from the Brumbies. They've played a fair bit of time together, so we just felt that combination would be a good one to start us off on Saturday.
Talk about making your decisions. At what stage did you know Hunter was fit and ready to go, and what can he add to that 12 challenge?
Yeah, he got through training on Tuesday. That's when we knew he was fit to play, and he felt good after Tuesday. Hunter's a really punchy player for us. I think Hamish Stewart did a really good job, particularly in that first test in Argentina. But Hunter's got good experience as well with Lenny Ikato. So those two together, I think, as I said with Nick and Noah, having combinations does help with cohesion, and so that was a good pairing for us, we felt.
You mentioned a bit of illness there. Was there actually a bit of a bug through the camp before the second Argentina?
Yeah, there was a bit of a bug, but nothing that affected the whole team. There were just individuals who got a little bit knocked around by it, and everyone's back on deck now. We had there was still a little bit of a lapse for a couple of guys at the start of this week who are not involved, but they're all back 100% now. So some of them who aren't involved this week may well be involved next week.
You've had been about 2 weeks. weeks to obviously unpack what happened over there. With that time to reflect, what are the biggest things you need to fix?
Well, obviously we leaked 9 tries, and I think we gave the ball up too easily. Then we got disconnected defensively, and as I described it, we fell off a bit of a cliff once. When the score was 41-27, one more score and we potentially can get 2 bonus points. But from 41-27 it blew right out. With maybe a bit of inexperience, we overchased things, and then when we overchased things, we destabilised ourselves, and it allowed them on the break to come back and hurt us.
Is there any contemplation of 2 sevens? Carlos Cesano's done well for you. Think about carrying a 7 on the bench as well?
Yep, both those things, Beto. Carlo's been outstanding, absolutely outstanding. I think prior to that Santa Fe test, he attempted 62 tackles and made 62 tackles in 3 test matches. He got 3 turnovers in the test match in La Plata. So he's been outstanding. I think Fraser was probably outstanding before that. So trying to find a place for both of them, it's something we did consider. But we also feel Harry's gone really well, and Rob Valentini is Rob Valentini.
Joe, coming back from Argentina, you said after the game, you had 3 really good halves over there, and one that was just below standard. Getting back into camp, is there a way to sort of find the confidence from those sort of moments without sort of having that last sort of 25-30 minutes affect the team heading forward?
Yeah, it's a good question. We'll find out a bit about it on Saturday. Hopefully we've built a little bit of confidence back. But you can't build confidence on porous foundations. I think we had to get a bit of a dose of reality first, and accept that we'd overreached at times, we'd disconnected at times, and we hadn't seen things early enough to get in front of them. So, there was a little bit of reality at the start, and then hopefully we get a bit of an upswing toward the end of the week, and obviously on Saturday.
Sorry. I was essentially when the All Black squad, particularly looking at Will Jordan moved once again from fullback to wing. Is there a reason you think why international coaches just keep making that switch with him?
No, I'm not sure why they've made that switch. Obviously, during my time, Will played both 15, but mostly 14. I think one of the things is Beauden Barrett's experience and his kicking game and his voice in the backfield. I think can be a really good foil for Damien McKenzie, but that's from my experience, and my experience with whichever 10 was playing. Beauden's experience and his ability to be a second pair of hands is outstanding as well. Not that Geordie is lacking anything there. He's a very skillful player as well. So, as I said, I understand the firepower that we're up against on Saturday, and I understand that, having been associated with them and watching that World Cup final and playing, 55 minutes with 14 players and losing by a point, where, you have a couple of tries in the second half and one that didn't count. That's how narrow the margins were. So, that's how good they are. So that in itself should keep our Wallaby boys on edge, I've no doubt.
Talk about that firepower. Obviously, you have to do everything well to compete with the All Blacks. What are the non-negotiables that you can't get wrong and you must get right to have a chance?
Yeah, I think it starts like it does all the time with set piece. That's kick-off, scrum and line-out. I think our scrum has actually been pretty good until last week. We again didn't do what we'd expected to do in that game in Santa Fe, but our line-out operated well. I think you've got to stop their line-out more, so you've got to be able to make sure that you're really well prepared for that. I know their counter-attacking threat I've seen it up close. I've even enjoyed it in the past life. But we've got to make sure that we close their space down and make sure that we don't give them anything that they can sneak through and play in behind. Because once they're in behind you, they've got, as I mentioned, a lot of firepower to stay and play on top of you. So that'd be some of them. Turnover ball, I think they've got in their 7 games so far this year. They've got a dozen different guys who've poached the ball at tackle. A lot of times you play a team and you're worried about 2 or 3 guys who are very good over the ball. That's another weapon that allows them to play off the back of that against destabilised defence. So again, making sure we look after the ball well, we don't overplay and dig a hole for ourselves without having support around the ball carrier.
So everything basically.
What did I leave out? Across the board, they are a handful, without a doubt.
Joe, it seems like you've got a... Oh, sorry.
Well, no, but just when you mentioned some of those players that you've had last year at the World Cup, and how nice is it, I suppose, that a lot of them are running out for this test and there isn't a whole lot of change in the All Blacks, particularly in the back line, I suppose, where you had a lot of those guys and you know their strengths, weaknesses.
Yeah, I know their strengths and I know that weaknesses, they probably have a lot less of those than they do strengths. It's nice to see them there. It was great to see Sam Cane get back in there because I think Sam is very close to a milestone and I've got massive respect for him as a man and a player. And I massively enjoyed the environment. They were a great group. But, I really enjoy these guys I'm working with now, and it's a lot less about the coaches than you think. The players really are the guys who are growing as a group. We've probably got about half as many caps kicking off, and so there's a bit more growth to come. I think we've had 16 debutants in 7 games, which is a new leaf, but we need that to grow pretty quickly.
It's safe to say no chats with them during the week.
There's been chats, not this week. Bowden put me on to a good man to get onto golf courses here. Those are important things in life. Not that I've played a game of golf, I haven't had time, but there's been little bits of chat with some of those guys, and it's inevitable. I still chat to some of the Irish players. Bundy O'Key just got his Irish citizenship the other day. Bundy O'Key. So he, I'd stay in touch with a fair few of those guys. When I was back there last time, a few coffees with some of the players, just because work with someone for 10 years and not have built some sort of relationship.
Last couple, please, Joe.
You mentioned the 16 debutants. I mean, a lot of those were obviously early on, and you seem to be picking more consistently now. But so, for example, in halfback, there's been a few changes back and forth. Is that a reflection of you don't know who your best halfback is, or is it horses for courses? And is it a destabilising thing to change a key position like that?
Hopefully it's not destabilising, because we all train together anyway. Hopefully there's a bit of freshness as well, because as I said, Nick White didn't play in Argentina. He was by far the freshest when we hit the ground back here in Sydney, and the other boys had some pretty decent minutes. So I don't think it will destabilise us, and particularly not Nick's relationship with Noah. They know each other really well. I think Nick still would have played a lot more with Noah than Jake Gordon has, for example. So, I'm probably not. I think we've had in total 7 tests so far. So, I'm still very much learning about the group, and some of the group are still learning about each other.
Is there anything that the team can take out of being such heavy underdogs from the lower expectations and sort of backs against the wall kind of thing for this match this weekend?
I don't think so. You're in your bubble really, and within that bubble, you're just trying to make sure that you're connecting well, and you've got your details sorted. Your role is clear. You're preparing yourself to deliver the fundamentals that are required from you, and so the periphery of others' expectations, that I'd be lying if I said they didn't leak in, but they are still peripheral. At the core of what your group are trying to achieve is as much cohesion, commitment, and probably that real shared collective purpose. That's what's driving them. So I think underdog or favourite, there are pressures either way, and players put pressure on themselves. Sometimes you're trying to take a bit of pressure off so they can breathe, because they start to put themselves under such weight of expectation.
Joe, I know you've spoken at length about the long-term goal, and there has been plenty of change, but how high is winning back the Bledisloe Cup on your priority list?
Yeah, it's a great question, but I don't have the answer probably, because I would be a real pragmatist, and for me it's all about process driven. So can we get better at that and that? And a couple of the things that we didn't do well in Santa Fe, can we see marked improvement in those areas, and can we retain some real positives? We were 20 points to 3 up after 30 minutes, so the catastrophe that it wasn't for 80 minutes. So what can we take out of that game and keep building? What do we really need to build our way back and do? And so the Bledisloe is a massive trophy. It's something that I know the All Blacks treasure, and the Wallabies would like to treasure. They haven't seen it for quite some time, and so it would be great if they could at least get a hand on it and keep it live to Wellington. But I think what we've been working on is really just trying to do elements of the game better, rather than talking about anything that's outcome focused or result focused.
Joe, given what happened,
Last one, thanks, Phil.
given what happened the last year, 18 months if not longer, with the coaching situation over there and the way it was handled, does it still rankle with you or leave a sour taste over the way it was handled?
No, I mean, people make their decisions, and they're put into those positions, and they have that responsibility. And if they decide something, then my involvement with the All Blacks was at the behest after a phone call. So it wasn't up to me to be starting to make decisions beyond that. I would be good friends with Ian Foster, and I felt that Ian Foster carried himself in an incredibly positive manner throughout it. He gave some feedback on it, because there was obvious frustration around how he thought it would impact on the team, but I just felt the way Fozzie carried himself through that period was really respectful to the rugby union and the game itself, and to the team that he was coaching. So they were all things that were peripheral for me. I was just trying to work away on the grass with the players to try to help them prepare themselves as best they could for games.